Hey, Nathan.
What?
It's time for some Goonie goodness.
Ooh.
Now dig on this.
What's up, my club?
What's
it's
up, boy?
time for some classic movie banter. You know that show where me, that kid Brenton, and that guy over there, that kid Nathan,
Literal children.
we talk about films that are 20 years or older. 20 years!
Whoa.
And we tell you whether those films are still worth watching today or whether they're worth booby-trapping like in some cave network under your local pub.
I know exactly what you mean, Brenton. Some movies just don't deserve to be watched at all.
Maybe in 100 years' time, there'll be some group of kids that'll just like find some fucking map in my house and they'll go,
Brenton, you're already segueing into a pitch. Look at you speeding through this app.
mate, I'm just having a good time.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about it.
Today we're talking about, and you know, it's a special occasion, Nathan. Did you know? Because
Is it special?
this week it's the 35th anniversary of The Goonies,
Oh, yay. Woo!
released in 1985.
Oh, let's let off some fireworks, Jesus, and aim it straight towards a child's head.
You know, this film was directed by Richard Donner, who also directed Superman, the original Superman. I think he directed a few of them actually. I think he directed like all of them, like all of the Christopher Reeve
No. He
ones.
directed the first two. Remember there was that famous story?
Was it 1 or 2?
Yeah, he did the first two, but remember in the second
Yeah,
one,
okay.
like the studio didn't like the cut of the second one, so like they hired a new guy to come in.
Sorry, my mistake. He directed all of the Lethal Weapon films.
Oh, right.
And I think he's going to direct the next one as
Is
well.
he really?
Yeah, I think so. I think I saw that on his filmography. It's like TBC.
Oh, jeez, they're gonna drag Mel Gibson out of like the cryo freezer or something. Like, oh,
Mate, good old Mel.
have you seen the Lethal Weapons?
I've never seen any of them.
Neither. I haven't seen any of them. There's 4 of them, right?
I've only been on the roller coaster at Movie World on
That's
the
a
Gold
good
Coast.
roller coaster.
It is. It kind of like, you have to kind of like keep your head locked in place though. This sounds
Yeah.
really bad. Because
It's
like,
one of those ones where it hangs if you haven't been to the Gold Coast. Like,
and there's a lot of flipping and there's a lot of winding and there's a lot of like very fast turns. And so like your head rattles a little bit if you don't like kind
It's like Brenton in bed.
Oh, Nathan. Popping those poorly timed Brenton in bed jokes as usual.
It's all I got on my arsenal, frankly. Like it's
Frankly,
either
it's
that or
the
nothing.
only thing I get messaged on Twitter. Basically, is like people just say, "Hey, Brenton, like, was that a joke or is that real?" And I'm like, guys, like,
And if so, can I find out? And you're like, please.
guys, this is a film podcast. What are you talking about? Speaking of film, do you know the screenplay for this film was written by Chris Columbus, who also
yeah,
directed?
what the hell? Chris Columbus wrote this.
Yes. So, and if you don't know Chris, he directed Home Alone, the Home Alone films, and he also directed Harry Potter 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And he also directed, I didn't know this, but he directed Pixels as well. You know that film from a couple years back
directed
with like,
Pixels?
he directed Pixels. So,
Christ, what a fall from grace.
I know,
What a
right?
fall from grace. Or maybe he was always fallen from grace, Brenton. Maybe he deceived us all over these years.
I mean, yeah. I mean, grace isn't hard to fall off. So, you know.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
literally, she's very hard to balance on. Is all I'll say. Grace.
Oh my God.
I tried to do a handstand on her shoulders once, and it just didn't work. We were practicing for Cheer Squad.
Oh my God, Brenton, what a story.
I know. Please continue, Nathan.
It's crazy the talent behind this movie. Like Spielberg produced it, Richard Donner directed it, and Chris Columbus wrote it. It's like the talent behind this movie is insane.
Well, Nathan, let's talk about whether, you know, it kind of paid off or whether this is
Yeah, let's see if this holds up, Brenton. Oh my God, pitch me this movie.
Alrighty, guys, here we go.
Can you pitch me the movie?
Now, there's a group of kids that are in some West Coast town. You know what I mean? And guess what? Guess what? Their homes are all being like foreclosed for some reason. Like they're all just they've all got to move. They're all got to move away. And But you know what? Like what keeps these kids unified? It's the fact that they're the Goonies.
What does that mean, Brenton?
It means that they never give up. Apparently, that's what.
Wow.
That's what it
Wow,
literally
they
means.
never give up. What a unique and original moral in a children's film.
But hey, they're just a group of good mates. And
Is it also because they live in like the Goon Docks, which is like the name of their suburb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly why. But
yeah, which
but
also looks like every other white neighborhood in America.
Exactly. So, Nathan, what happens is basically they're going to have to move because, you know, they're being evicted, like they're being moved off their beloved Goondocks. What happens is there's 2 brothers that live in this one house, and the younger brother realizes there's some shit in the attic that his dad, I don't know what his dad does, I can't quite remember.
Yeah, he's putting up a flag or a sign at one point.
There's a few historical artifacts in their attic that they've just suddenly realized.
Yeah, like a museum's worth of artifacts.
Exactly. And instead of like selling that shit and like easily like making the money back to like stay in their house, instead they find a specific treasure map that they put down to, and a coin that they put down to a pirate of old named One-Eyed Willie.
Christ.
You know that famous pirate, One-Eyed Willie?
Oh boy. A little bit too well, Brenton.
And so they figure that they can follow this map, which resembles their town, and find the buried treasure that One-Eyed Willie has stored many years ago somewhere around the town, supposedly. And they follow this treasure map to hopefully find the fortune that will allow them to keep living together, to keep the Goonie lifestyle going. But Nathan, the conflict in this film is that there's some crazy criminal family on the run.
Jesus. Is it the same criminals from Home Alone?
Potentially, but they might have to work around these criminal masterminds to find their fortune, to cement their friendship and love for each other. Nathan, that's the Goonies.
Great. Well done, mate. Look at that. A treasure hunt movie with kids. Who would have who doesn't want that? Who wouldn't want that actually? Like that's
Do you reckon there is a buried treasure like around the Goondocks somewhere? Do you reckon like some pirate was like, this is where?
No. No, Brenton, I don't. I don't think there's buried treasure anywhere, frankly.
In the golden age of piracy, don't you think that was the prime location to...
Yeah, let's go to fucking, like, East Coast America and, like, let's just, like, bury this shit under, like... Let's put a... We'll talk about it, spoilers, but, like... Brenton, I finished this movie, and I've never done this before. I write the occasional note here and there when I watch a movie for the podcast. And, like, I finished it, and as the credits started to roll, I just wrote in 3 words, just quite simply, I hate this.
Oh, wow.
There was a point where I just put down the phone, because I'm like, this is just, I've had enough. And then the movie finished, and I'm like, I hate it. Like... Just raw emotion, Brenton.
So I guess that segues into what we feel about the movie, Nathan. Nathan hated it from why did you hate this film, Nathan?
I didn't hate it. To be honest with you, Brenton, I didn't hate it until literally the movie finished. And then it's like that revelation. You know what? It's like when you graduate high school and you're saying goodbye to all your friends and to all the people you know in your grade, and you come across one person and then just kind of dawns on you like, you know what? I kind of hate you. And you realize you'll never see him again.
I didn't necessarily have this experience, but continue, because I'm sure other people have. And can...
Oh, I said this to your face at the end of year 12. Like,
yeah, I remember, and I didn't know what you were getting at, to be honest. I thought you were joking, but and here we are, all these years later,
bloody watching Goonies over 100 eps in. What a time! Like, you know, it's that moment. Or it's like when you fall out of love. You're just like, you're not like, you know, we're not in love anymore. You know, like, I hate you. Goodbye. you pack up and you leave. It's that kind of thing. It wasn't through the whole movie. I'm like, oh, I hate this. There were moments where the blood was beginning to boil. But
okay.
It's like an angry household where you just go, I can't do this anymore, and you pack up your stuff and you leave.
Yeah,
it was like that, Brenton.
No, but it's not even that you pack up your stuff and you leave. It's that you stick with it until the end, and then you still go, why didn't I leave when I had the chance and I knew this wasn't going to get better? Yeah.
Well, my friends were saying leave as well, and I just couldn't.
And I just didn't take the juicy advice. Nathan, that's really interesting. So as you were watching this film, like from the beginning, were there moments of it where you were like, I'm enjoying this, or you know, like I'm enjoying this?
Yeah, you know what? Like first 15 minutes, I was all on board for this movie.
Yeah, cool.
I'm like, fuck yeah, this is great. I'm back in the 80s. You know, I'm seeing bloody Josh Brolin as a kid. I see Sean Astin as a kid. Like, they're all swearing and, you know, being mildly racist to each other. It's great. And then, like, you know, there's treasure involved. But then, like, I spend a little bit more time with the kids and I realize I hate all of them.
Which isn't a good look when they're literally like your main cast of characters.
And it's funny because I didn't actually. You know what? That's an absolute lie. There is still one child I think I don't hate, but I think if I think about it more, eventually I will learn to hate him. Like
I was gonna ask, were there any characters that you liked in this movie?
You know, I liked, and I think I do still like the cool kid, the one who speaks Spanish. I like him a lot. He's a
Oh,
good
really?
time.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think his nickname is Mouth.
Oh Jesus! All the nicknames are stupid in this movie, but then again, they're kids, so sure, I'll let that slide. But yeah, he's great because you could so tell he's kind of hitting on like the main kid's mum, like low key on the side of this movie, and for some reason he knows Spanish and he's fucking about with like the housemaid. Like, I'm all for him. He's great. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But let's go through the cast, Brenton, because it's good. Actually, before we even do that, where do you sit? Because I don't want to start ripping this apart. Unless,
Yeah. Like because the
Where
thing
do you
is, like,
sit?
you haven't asked me what my opinion is on this.
Brenton, how rude. Forgive me. What do you think about this movie?
That's okay because you were having a moment, and that's all right because on this podcast, we need to express our.
You make it sound like a senior moment. Like I'm just like twitching in my wheelchair, like Goonies.
I reckon, like, I can imagine you in a retirement home, and like, you're losing all your memories. Like you got Alzheimer's.
I'm praying Goonies is the first to go.
You're having a bad time, and that's okay. Like, your friends, your family's around you, and I'm probably in the same home as well. Like, and I'm probably remembering. I don't know, what film would I be remembering?
Spider-Man.
No, I'm sitting there probably remembering like Cats and being like, oh gosh, like fucking Mungo, Jerry and Rumpelteazer. And they're like, okay, Brenton, come on, time to eat your bloody custard. Nathan, you're sitting there next to me, I reckon, and you're just like, oh, fucking Goonies. Like, you're just having a moment. and they're like, yeah, Nathan, we'll put it on again. We'll put it on again, Nathan, sir, if you want to watch Goonies. It's like, no. Like, and then every day you have to watch the Goonies. I don't know how we got onto that, Nathan, but that's okay. What a time to be alive, because the Goonies, it's really interesting that you didn't like it, because I can understand it. I can understand the vitriolic hate that came out of you at the end, that you were like,
Brenton, don't you dare swing the other direction.
I can't help it, Nathan. I can't help.
Do you
how I
like this?
feel.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of problems.
Do you like this movie?
But what a fun time! What a good time to be alive! What a simple time!
Brenton, if we're at a bloody nursing home together, I'm gonna be like pushing you out of your wheelchair if you say you like that movie. In fact, you're the one egging the staff to put it on in the nursing home.
Yeah,
or I'm
exactly.
like just like slothing about, like.
Precisely.
Oh my god, it's like Breaking Bad, where I'm like Hector with like the bell dinging, and like you're like, oh no, he means put on Goonies, and I'm like, motherfucker. Like,
Don't get me wrong. This film's got issues. Obviously, narratively, structurally, by all accounts, it doesn't make sense. It's one of those ones. But what a fun time! This just takes me back to a simpler time, and this is what it's about.
oh, fuck off with that. And I saw this in pass off, and I saw this when I was looking for reviews from other people where they're like, oh, this reminds me of a simpler time, you just had young adventures. I'm like, fuck off with that. You get that exact same like young adventure shit these days. Like, you do. In storytelling these days, you get like a bunch of kids like going about and having an adventure. Like, it happens. It happens today. Like, that didn't go away in today's culture.
Okay, well, give me an example of something that captures that in today's culture. A film that captures that.
Of kids going off into adventure? Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, like sure, like don't get me wrong, like there's things that capture that whimsical nature. I'm not saying that this is the only thing that does it. I'm just saying that while I was watching this, it was like it took me back, and it was fun. It was interesting. I was on board for the most part for most of it. Yeah, I agree. There's characters I don't like. Yeah, some of the kids are really fucking annoying, but at the same time, the kind of heart, I guess, at the center of this kind of overcomes that, and I can see why this became like a cult phenomenon, and why like people really enjoy this and get around this film. Like, it's a stupid movie. Like, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't have to be not stupid, Like, it's not the actually, weirdly, it's not the screenplay I have issues with, which is like a rare thing for me to hate a movie, not hate its script, because normally they go hand in hand. But I think this is actually well written for what it is.
Sure. I mean, like, I don't necessarily agree. I think some of the conversations and like the dialogue in this is a bit clunky. And I think that it's trying to go for this, like, it's like what Greta Gerwig did with Little Women. You know how you have like this kind of, it's like an orchestration of like dialogue where people talk over each other a lot. And like, but like at the same time, like which I like in Little Women, I like that there's just kind of this like.
But in Little Women, it was way more orchestrated. This movie is just like, it's like one character does something and then the rest of them are like, blah, 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 and like 10 characters are talking at once. And like,
yeah, exactly.
Blah, 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 blah.
So I think that's been written into the screenplay, and it's something that the film's trying to do. And a lot of the time, I think it comes off a bit clunky. So in terms of the screenplay, and obviously, like narratively, there's things happen that are a bit obviously, let's say, convenient.
I could just see Chris Columbus just sitting in his director's chair, just going like more energy to all the kids, because all of them are like 110% this whole fucking film.
Because so you say it's not the fault of the screenplay. Whose fault is it? Is it the performance?
I'm I'm ready to point fingers, Brenton, because I'm pointing it at everyone. I think it's Chris Columbus's fault. I think it's every child actor's fault. Not just in this movie, just in general child actors. I think it's like Steven Spielberg's fault. I think it's, I don't know, Richard, it's all of the faults, frankly.
Do you think the premise is good?
I think the premise is great. Are you kidding? In your hometown, that's probably boring AF. All you do is just cycling around, like waiting to be dragged by a car or something like that. Yes, hidden treasure in like your shitty neighborhood. How cool is that?
Yeah, like I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like what a fun time.
What a cool time. I'm like, I'm all for that. I'm like, fuck yeah. There's like a labyrinth of like secret corridors beneath your neighborhood. That's so awesome. Like, and it affects the real world above as you're doing this shit below, where it's like the kids versus the adults. Like, fuck yeah. I'm all for that. Like, the premise is great. Like, I'm all for that. But when we go on this adventure with this cast, I'm like, I wouldn't do this shit with any of you. If you came up to me as a child, like the fucking like 8 of you, and you're like, hey, we're on the Gold Coast. For some reason, there's buried treasure in this beach paradise. Let's go. And I look at all 8 of them, like, I wouldn't want to spend 5 fucking seconds looking for like $1 million with you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care how rich I'm going to get at the end of this. Like, fuck that. Like, I'm not spending a second with you.
I disagree because there's a few of the kids that I do like. Like, I think the ones that are obviously given more screen time and more things to do are more interesting. The ones that go into the stereotypical kind of caricatures that they're meant to be representing come off the worst, I think.
All right, let's just go through them. Okay. First up, Sean Astin.
So Sean Astin's my favorite. Like, he's my favorite kid.
I like him a lot. Well, I like the cool kid a little bit more because he's better lines.
Cool kid, I wasn't really amongst it at the start. I was kind of like, actually, the whole film, I was a bit confused by him. Like, I didn't understand. I got that he was meant to be like, because his name's Mouth, he's meant to be like the smart aleck, the guy that like that like has all the funny lines, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I think
the Nathan of the group, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But I think the issue is with him is that because the other kids have so much energy, as you say, like it kind of undermines him a little bit.
Yeah,
like,
he doesn't stand out as much because I think on set every kid saw how cool he was, and the kid's like, wait, I want to be like that, and so they also up the energy.
So yeah, I think there's moments that he could stand out, but he doesn't. And my first note on that kid was actually that one kid with the weird creepy grin. Like, that's what he was known as for a while. Like, because I was just like, this kid's like, what's with him? Like, and it was that moment when he was like hitting on the mum, like you said at the start.
Yeah.
But we won't get into the spoilers. But like at first I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about him. And towards the end I was like, there was no real arc there with him.
He really is like the Stifler of the group, isn't he?
Yeah. So I don't know if he had the moments to really like cement him that some of the other characters had. Let's talk about.
Do you want to talk? Did you recognize Sean Astin?
Yeah, dude. Straight away I was like, oh, it's Samwise. It's Samwise from the Shire.
Were you waiting for some Lord of the Rings like lines to spurt out? Like,
come on, Frodo.
There's a scene at the end where he's showing to one of the kids, like trying to encourage them, and I genuinely thought he was going to slip into the voice. Where he's like, you do one more step, Mr. Frodo. I'm with you all of the way. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally.
I was waiting for it.
Speaking of actors from famous franchises, Josh Brolin is in this movie.
Yeah,
and I really got amongst Josh Brolin as well in this film.
I like Josh Brolin too.
I love the two brothers. I think they're great.
Yeah, they have a good brotherly relationship as well. Like, they don't like.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments in this film is actually near the start. And I won't spoil it now, but it was a moment that we'll get into in spoilers, and it was just a wholesome content moment. You know what I mean?
And we're all about that.
It incorporated the town and it incorporated the film's themes. And in that moment, I was like, wow, this is really good. Like this, and
I've always wanted a brother.
From that point on, I was emotionally invested in it. I was like, yeah, like this is cool. There was moments that kind of took me out of that a little bit, like obviously because this film has issues.
I respect the movie for holding back on the brother bickering, because I think that would have been an easy route to go down, but they don't. They're actually quite cooperative the whole movie, and I'm like, oh, that's good to see.
They have moments where they're both like, oh, like, you know, who's leading this moment, and they kind of like settle that between them and like move on. Like, it's really cool. Like, I like that there's not a big conflict between the two of them, like you say. And if anything, like they're probably at a point there probably should be some conflict between them, but there's not, because it's like, oh, it's an accident. You know what I mean? Like, what can you do?
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of just like making do with it. I also like, there's no question of like the big brother believing the younger kids. Normally with the teenage characters paired up with kid characters, they're like, they never believe them. They're like, oh, what? No, you're just imagining things. But like from the very second Josh Brolin takes this shit seriously, he's like, he walks into the house and he's just like, oh, no, I see what you're going through. Let's explore this.
Totally. He's on board. He's like, hey, we should probably be safe and we should probably do this instead. And then he goes, well, hang on a second, your logic still stands on that, so let's do this. I can't really talk about that because of spoilers, but like, yeah, it's like you said, he treats them like adults. He treats them like on his level to a certain extent.
And then what do you think then of the two teenage girls that accompany them? Like,
okay, these two have got issues. So I like I kind of liked at first. I liked the love interest, the Josh Brolin's girlfriend. At first, I was like, oh yeah, cool.
It goes nowhere.
And then it just kind of was like that kind of part kind of went somewhere. But she kind of became like the neurotic kind of person in the group that was kind of scared of everything, which is fine. But I don't think that was really set up well. I have more issues with the other girl because I just don't even understand why the fuck she's in the movie. Really,
I also think there's bad acting across the board with both of them.
What does she offer?
What does she contribute to the group? That's a good point.
Because
there's a weird moment at the end with one of the kids, and that was weird.
And I think that's why she was there, because I was like, well, I guess like the two characters that are the most similar are those two, because they're both trying to be like the wisecracking, like, you know, like kind of undermining the situation a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of like how she's kind of over this shit, like the best friend, like she's just having none of it.
That's what she was there to do, but like for a lot of it, I was like, she wasn't given the time or the investment by the screenwriters or by the director, frankly, to really kind of establish that. So at the same time, I'm like, well, you just could have not had her and given more time to the characters that we're invested in, and you are obviously invested in as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it just feels like such a failure when you could have done something interesting with these characters. It's like, you know,
I agree. The character that has the most interesting things done with them is definitely Sean Astin. Definitely that main kid.
Oh yeah, and like because he's also the main character, and like he's the one he's like, no, we got to. Everyone's like, oh, let's quit now. He's like, no, we got to find the treasure. Everyone's like, oh, fine. It's like, yeah, I get he gets an arc and all that kind of stuff.
So let's talk about the two other kids, because we got to get through these kids.
We got to get to the two other ones who there's probably the most to chat about. Brenton, do you think this film is set in the same continuity as Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom? Because it's the same kid, it's the same actor, and I recognized him in a heartbeat.
I reckon it could be. I reckon it definitely could be. I think this is the sequel to Temple of Doom.
Yep, I am 100% for it.
He said,
what's the kid's name in the movie? I forget it.
Oh, in Temple of Doom or
Temple of Doom.
Let's look it up.
Brenton's doing that looking up segment. Because what happens at the end of Temple of Doom, spoilers for that movie, because he keeps on hanging with Indy. He's like, quick, Mr. Jones, and he's like, more adventures. And then like Indy's like, nah, fuck off, kid. So I reckon the kid gets relocated to like you know, middle America, and like he gets a new name and all that kind of shit. And then, but he's still got like the tricks that he learned in Temple of Doom, hence why he builds all the gadgets.
So in Temple of Doom, this is right, because I knew it was short round.
Oh, Short Round, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, gosh, Temple of Doom. We haven't done any of the Indiana Jones films.
No, we have. Because we know, we've seen them to death.
Which I can understand why, but at some point we're going to do those. Like, that's what's fun about this show.
No one needs to hear from us whether the Indiana Jones films are worth watching.
Well, you said the same thing about Star Wars.
Actually, that's a very good point, damn it.
And then we still had interesting episodes on those. Like, at some point we're going to do it. I'm not saying let's do it next week.
Maybe eventually when Indy 5 comes out, we can do the Indy Jones.
Yeah, totally. Like, I'd eventually, oh gosh, who the fuck's going to do it?
Who knows when that movie's coming out? Yeah.
Anyway, back to the Goonies and this kid. So, what do you think? What do you think of this character? Like,
I was really on the fence with him, to be honest, because like, what the fuck is going on there? There's something. Because I don't want to spoil why, because we do find out why he builds all his gadgets. We finally figure out that at the end of the movie. And it's kind of sweet, actually, why he does that. Yeah. But the whole movie, I'm like, what is this kid on? Like, I want to know how the friendship was formed with this kid. Like,
I kind of liked him, and I was on the fence with him as well. And what got me over the fence was that I was like, who is this kid? Like, what is his point in this film?
Yeah,
and then I
what's
was
his
like,
deal?
I realized he's that one kid. He's that one kid, like, in a group of friends that will always be like, the group, like, decides one thing. They're all like, oh, yeah, okay, fine. We'll settle on this thing and we're going to go do this thing. And then there's that one kid that goes, and then I'm going to do this thing. And they just go and do it. Like, and they go and do it.
Yeah. He's the kind of kid that would touch an electric fence, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And everyone's like, okay, cool, dude. Like, off he goes. He's doing his thing. He's like, oh, it kind of worked out. Awesome. And he's the one that tries the most random shit in this film. And it always kind of pays off.
I don't know why Chris Columbus decided to insert Inspector Gadget into this film.
Pretty much, hey.
Like, it's like mini kid Inspector Gadget, you know?
I like that he's an inventor too, and he has all this shit. And some of it's just like one thing he makes, I'm like, what the fuck? And actually, no, a few things he makes as well. But a few of them
everything he
come off.
made. Also, all of his gadgets would not work in real life for so many reasons. And like,
gosh, no, but they work in this, and it's fun.
Also, I feel like the screen, I feel like Chris Columbus, when he wrote it, was just like, oh, I'll put the kid in this situation. And he thinks of the situation first, and he suddenly, like, after the fact, creates a gadget that will get the kid out of it. It's there's no tension in it as well. It's like,
oh gosh, no, not with him. He's just kind of like,
or in the movie in general, should I add?
Oh,
You were not like holding your breath this entire like at any point.
There was a couple moments though where I was like, this could go either way.
You were winded from laughter. That's what you were doing.
Let's talk about the last kid. Because there's a conversation that has to be had here.
Could I just read out some random dot points I have on this child? just to get the ball rolling. I hate every time the fat kid screams. None of the characters ever shut up. I hate the fat one so much, and he needs to shut up. No one fat acts like that.
The thing with Chunk, because his nickname's Chunk.
Is his name
well.
Chunk? Jesus Christ.
His nickname's Chunk. The thing with Chunk is that he's the most annoying in the group. And then I was trying to think during it, why is he the most annoying? Because he should be one of the more wholesome... Because everything's given to him to be like the character that you like root for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's points in this film that he's not with the group, that he's doing... He's the kind of the subplot at a point in this film.
Christ, he gets his own bloody plot. That's how confident they were in this child actor.
So this child actor's not good enough to do it.
No.
It's like probably out of all the kids, he was the one that, apart from Sean Austin, obviously, this was the kid you needed to get right, and they didn't. Unfortunately, and I don't everyone's gonna be like, oh, he's just a kid. It's like, yeah, exactly, he's just a kid, and he has the same. He for me,
Sean Astin is just a kid, and look what he does.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, like you said before, that like maybe some of the kids were like, oh, he's meant to be the cool kid, so I'm gonna try and be cool too, and the way I'm gonna do that is just be louder. So this kid, like the way he overcomes things, is as opposed to like just like playing his place like in the group, he just fucking screams everything, like literally screaming
like
shit.
In the most annoying scream possible. I thought I hated the Lord of the Flies kids, but at least they weren't screaming the whole fucking movie. You know what I mean?
This is too much.
This
dude.
kid. And you know what I hate? This is where the kettle boils. This is where I'm putting my foot down, Breton. I'm now hating screenwriters in general who write fat characters and all they fucking talk about is food. Like, these people do not exist in real life. Like,
no,
I know plenty of people who are overweight, you know? It's like,
yeah.
I know so many people who are overweight and not a single one of them exclusively talks about food. I've known overweight people my whole life and I just don't understand why screenwriters think they need to do this. And also, it's so bloody insulting to those people who are overweight by stigmatizing them, thinking all they fucking talk about is food. Especially this kid, because every time he gets into a shitty situation, it's because he's trying to get food. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you, kid? That you're so illogical that you're trying to eat ice cream rather than rescue your friends. You know why I hate him even more? And fuck the spoiler of it all. That he rats out his friends just to get some food. And I'm like, fuck you, kid. Like, what are you doing?
Nathan, everything you said stands. That in films, that like overweight characters are just like written as these strange aliens that are just obsessed. It's like
obsessed with food.
It's like Roald Dahl wrote Augustus Gloop, and then everyone was like, "That's how we're gonna do it." You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's just so non-reflective of real life. And especially imagine being an overweight child watching this, thinking that's how people think of you. You know what I mean? Like that's how you think that you are seen by others, as this overweight screaming kid who just can't shut the fuck up about like food, wearing a stereotypical Hawaiian shirt. It's like, what an insult. What a bloody insult.
Hey mate, you raise a great point. For me, like that was insulting, and I was just like, oh gosh, like, you know, here we go. This is again like he's the textbook example of like a caricature that is just a caricature in this film.
Jesus.
And then the kid doesn't even play the caricature well. You know what I mean? Like, so there's nothing there going. There's nothing going for it. Like it's just a screaming mess that's just going on. And so every time we cut back to it, and it's a shame because like his subplot again introduces another character that like is essential to the plot of this film.
Oh.
And like again, like there was moments in that I really cared about and I was like on board with, but like the kid just keeps undermining it. But to be fair to this kid as well, he does get better as it goes on.
No, he doesn't, Brenton. Don't you dare.
He does. There's a point and he starts to get a bit better because because he's not with the group.
But that made me hate it because when we left the group, I'm like, oh, you know what? When we were with the group, I'm like, oh, these scenes are so much better now the fat one's gone. And then but then we kept going back to him with the subplot.
But he got better as well because it's like he wasn't trying to compete or something.
Yeah, I mean, narratively, there's probably the most going on with him because he has some semblance of an arc because of who he meets and kind of that team up. You see them kind of grow together. At the same time, when there was that kind of like love, but this friendship between the fat one and this new character, I'm like, I don't care. I hope they all die in this adventure. I hope all of them die. That was what I was praying for.
Hey man, I got amongst it. There's again, like I'm criticizing this film because it deserves to be criticized. It's not perfect, but at the same time, it's just been made with a big heart, I think. And so like that aspect of it, and like the adventure aspect of it, like gets me going. It gets me excited.
Just because a movie has heart doesn't mean it's good, Brenton. A dead corpse has a heart, technically.
I agree, but at the same time, it gives it humanity to a certain extent. And so like when you watch that comes off on screen, and so like I'm attracted to that as a person. And yeah, I am. And so by the end of this film, like it's stupid, it's illogical, it's whimsical, but at the same time, you said the end credits rolled and you were like, I hate this. And that's fine, because I can understand why. But the end credits rolled in this, and as that last scene played out, I was like, oh man, what a good time. I'm feeling really happy now. Like I had such a good time.
You know what as well? It feels like Spielberg has been self-product by this point, because this movie is so fucking cliche, and you got to admit that.
Yeah.
Like
I
scene,
do.
every line of dialogue.
Like I said, there's so much things that are so convenient. You know, in this movie.
Yeah, especially kids like, oh wait, I have this skill. Like, especially as they go through the adventure, a kid's suddenly revealing that they can do something. It's like, oh, there's not even a Chekhov's gun in it. They just suddenly have the ability to do shit.
Yeah, there is. There's one Chekhov's gun.
Oh, there's one, and I wish it was fighting on the kid's face. Like, oh. And you know what I hate as well? I hate the sponsorship in this movie. Crisis is guilty of 80s sponsorship, isn't it?
Pepsi? Pepsi was the big one. And Domino's. Pepsi and Domino's.
Well, I will talk about the Domino's moment at the end of this movie, because, oh, God, that made me scream.
What was the ice cream company? Do we remember? Was there a specific logo on the...
we'll get into it. But when the fat one was in the fridge, I lost it by that point. Like, I do want to note for some viewers that, like, you know, I'm ready to rate this fucking.
I'm not, because I just want to go over, because what's interesting, we've really gone over the characters again, and so just getting back to technical points of this film, I think the production design, some of the production designs fucking ace. Yeah. Like the production design's like really good.
We should say that. Yeah, the sets are remarkable, aren't they?
Yeah, just awesome. The music, I think, is very generic as well. I think that's a criticism to have. It's like,
I feel like they tried to get John Williams, but he wasn't available. So like,
it's really really generic. Yeah, I've highlighted my issues with the screenplay. The other one, what do you think about the makeup in this film?
Oh Christ, I mean,
prosthetics.
That's gearing towards spoilers, isn't it?
Yeah, no, but not really. Like, let's just say there's some prosthetics in this film. Do you think they're good?
That are so out of place for so many reasons, and they're purely for shock value. And I'm just like,
we're gonna have to get into this as spoilers, but I had to really think about why that was in the movie, and I justified it, and I'll get into that later.
There's no reason.
I agree to a certain extent, but I was like, what were they thinking? And then I was like, this is what they were thinking. And I was like, I guess that makes sense, but it's not a good enough justification. But we'll get into that later.
They were thinking correctly. But speaking of that, with the skeletons, Brenton, if you were a child, because there's skeletons in this movie, that's not a spoiler. If you were a child and you saw a skeleton, would you scream every fucking time you saw a skeleton?
I don't know what I'd do. I wouldn't scream necessarily, but... Yeah. I think that's to overcome the fact that if we're playing this like real, there's moments. There's a lot of. I've got like a bunch of notes here that I'll get into in spoilers of moments that, like, specifically with Chunk, the character Chunk, he's scarred for life. Like, he is scarred beyond repair.
Oh jeez. Oh yeah, and I understand that, but just with the skeletons, I swear to God, like especially later in the movie, the kids have seen like 10 skeletons by that point, and they're still screaming every fucking time they see one. I'm like, yeah, it's bones. It's harmless. It's fine. We all decay. It's part of life. It's like, I just don't get why every time they see a skeleton, I'm like, oh, jeez.
I think it's one of those cases that I think that if I was that age and I saw that, like, again, you wouldn't scream, but it's like, it's something that's so beyond terrifying that it's like, I reckon I'd just shut down. You know what I mean? Like, as a kid, you'd just be like, you wouldn't know what the fuck to do. Like, you'd just like shut down, kind of. But again, like, who knows?
Oh, the director's like, oh, the characters are scared. Let's have them scream. It's like, oh, there's so many other ways to show fear besides scream. It's like, oh.
There's something that's way scarier in this film for like kids to deal with that they all kind of brush off, and we'll get into that later on. And they don't scream at that thing.
Can we rate this? I want to dig in.
You're fond of me lobster, ain't you?
So I'm giving this a thumbs up, even though I
No,
criticize...
you are not, Brenton. No.
It's just worth a watch. Absolutely. Like, what a fun time. What a fun-filled adventure.
Could you imagine children getting around this? Like in 2020?
Heck yeah, dude. Like, heck yes.
No, I can't. No one alive could tolerate those screams.
I walked away from this, again, those credits rolled, and I was filled to the brim with, like, excitement, fun, and happiness. Like, pure joy, like, at the end of this movie. And it was stupid and it was dumb, but man, sometimes that's what you need. Like, you just need something to take you back and to just have a nice time. And it just gave me good vibes, even though it's very flawed, admittedly. And I can understand why this is like a cult
Stop
classic.
saying shit is so flawed and then recommending it. Like, let the flaws see. You know what I mean? It's like if a house is falling down at the seams, it's like, don't move in. It's like, find another house.
Yeah, but it can still, like, I still got to give my personal opinion and say that. But this isn't a house at the same time. Like a house, like
No, it's a fucking graveyard, is what it is.
no, it's art. Like you can't walk out of something and be like, I can flaw this, that, and everything else, but I can still walk and be like, me personally, I really enjoyed this, and I can see why people would get amongst this as they have, like as history tells you they have, and why this would be like a cult classic.
I know.
I see that, and I think that shines through. The heart of it shines through, and that's what people are so attracted to.
Like, would you ever watch it again? Would you ever watch it again?
Yes, I would. And,
No, you wouldn't.
Oh, absolutely, I would.
Why?
Because it's like, because I enjoyed it so much. Like I was skipping back on moments in the film. I'd skip back 30 seconds and watch it again and be like, oh, that's fun. Like, and get really excited about it. Like there's stupid nonsense in this movie. I'm not saying that it's perfect, and I'm not saying that everything is executed extremely well. Like, I've just criticized the shit out of it. But at the same time, giving it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, I'd still put a thumbs up.
You'd put this on a Thursday night.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Oh.
Dude, I'm not trying to convince you either, because I think you're warranted and not.
No, I'm just
Like-
baffled that you enjoy this shit. Like, it's objective dog shit. It's like, just because there's childlike wonder doesn't suddenly mean you want to feel something. You want childlike wonder, go pick up a Lego set.
I didn't say that was the only aspect of it. I'm saying that, like, there's moments in this movie that I really get around.
I am just so fucking grateful that Chris Columbus got a lot better by the time Harry Potter rolled around. Jesus. Could you imagine, like, Philosopher's Stone with the kids screaming every 3 fucking seconds? Like, oh.
That kind of does happen, but that's okay.
Yeah. Oh my God, when they first see Fluffy and they're like, ah! And the dog's like,
Yeah.
"Ooh," and they're like, ah! It's like, that's easily one of my hated moments in Philosopher's Stone too. You know what? Maybe it's just me and children screaming. Maybe that's just where my diatribe lives.
But what about the adult screams like a child in that film as well?
Is there?
Well, there's a whole moment in
when,
that
like,
film where
Quirrell's
Quirrell
like-
runs in with the troll in the dungeon, and then the kids all scream like they go absolutely nuts.
Okay, no, that's an iconic and amazing scene. Like, that I forgive. That's fine.
Why?
Because it's Quirrell, like, looking like a fucking... He also does a weird run where he's kind of flailing his hands as he runs in. He's like, ah!
I'm saying that as well, because he's obviously putting it on, if you know the plot of... Again,
Yeah.
spoilers for Philosopher's Stone.
What do you think Voldemort was thinking in that moment when he's just on the back of Quirrell's head? Like... Because also when he falls down, he falls face forward, so it's just Voldy's head sticking up. Like,
I reckon he was thinking, oh, God, they might find us out. And then the kids all, like, went into hysteria, and it was like, hey, it worked for some reason.
yeah. It's like, Voldemort, you worked. Do you reckon when Quirrell sleeps, he can't sleep on the back of his head? He has to consistently sleep on his
absolutely.
side?
Absolutely. He either
Otherwise he'd suffocate Voldemort.
he either goes to sleep, like, sitting upright, or...
He's got some weird
Or-
contraption like in his office.
yeah,
like-
exactly. Or he's on his side at all times.
Oh, that'd be great.
And then like he accidentally rolls over and Voldemort's like, I can't breathe, you dickhead. And it's like, oh, sorry. And he like wakes
that
him up.
exact line. And then, like, a Quirrell's twitching in his sleep going, oh, troll in the dungeon, troll. In the middle of his sleep. Oh.
Nathan, you got to rate this, mate. Give it the thumbs down.
Thumbs down. There's so many better shit things that you could watch as a child, and also great things you could watch as a child. Watch it. Watch Stranger Things, which we'll talk about later about the derivativeness of it all.
Yeah, but
Watch
Stranger
Harry
Things
Potter.
isn't it?
You want to watch like good shit as a kid? Watch Ben 10. Watch anything on Nickelodeon. Watch literally anything besides this if you want to feel childlike awe and nostalgia for just like a childlike adventure.
Literally anything.
Anything on Nickelodeon. Watch SpongeBob. Watch Danny Phantom. Watch Fairly Odd Parents. Watch any of that shit that's still airing.
Watch Return to Oz. That's a fun time.
Don't watch Return. We'll get to it. Come back this Halloween.
Let's spoil the shit out of
I'm
this.
so excited for this. You spoiled it.
What?
The movie.
Oh, I don't even know where to start, if I'm being honest.
Oh my god. Well, we've avoided a key character in this movie, haven't
Actually,
we?
no, I do know where to start. I'll
Okay.
start quickly because I'll start with this because this is the moment that I was really on board and I was really feeling something.
Oh, okay. Maybe this could have been the moment that lost me.
The best shot in this movie is at the start when they've all established basically that, you know, it's Sean Austin's character's been really established that like he's gone up to the attic and he's seen this map and he's like, we've got to do this, and he's got this like real drive and hunger to do it. No, everyone's not as on board, and he goes out onto the balcony basically, and he looks out at the hometown, and there's this panning shot that goes.
Is it
around
that
the
twin
balcony.
sons moment from Star Wars? Essentially,
Yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely. And it does this pan of the town, and he looks out for the balcony and he looks around the town, and then no, but it's not quite the twin sons moment, because the pan ends when Josh Brolin joins him on the balcony, and they just go to each other and give each other a big hug. It was such a good.
It was a good moment.
Oh,
but
man,
it didn't like crush me to tears. It's probably just like them hugging each other.
No, but it got me on board. I was like, wow, like that was the moment I was like, wow, like this is something more than just like a pile of dog shit. You know what I mean? Like I'm in. Like I'm
it has
invested.
moments of that levity and like
Yeah.
But but I think because they kind of put it aside, I think I would have liked to see them moving out a little bit more. Because at the start it's like, fuck, we're about to move out. We got to really like solve this, and then like it kind of just goes away, and then it comes back at the end.
I think for me, it's like the dad needed to be more established.
Yeah. Also, why it's up to the kids to save them from moving out of the house. Also, why they're moving out in the first place is not really that clear. Like, why they're being bought out or why they can't afford to stay.
No, like, again, we don't know what the dad's situation is. So I think, like, that was the key for me. It was like, you need to bring the dad in more. And I can kind of understand why they leave him out until the very end. It's like that moment. It's like, Dad, and what happens at the end happens. But we'll get to that last scene because a lot happens in the last scene of this movie.
So much is going on that last. Let's go near the start, but maybe chronologically might be the best way to get through this. So,
okay, sure.
Can we logicalness. Let's go to the very start of this movie. Bretton, so let's say you're working at a prison and you're a security guard. Security guard Bretton here. And
I love the prison break, dude. Like, because it like how they go through the town and then like it shows all the kids basically, and it introduces all the kids like and what they're doing,
which is
like,
a great introduction. I loved it.
And I love that too, and I love that like the car chase is so exciting, and they all just kind of lose their shit over it. They're like, "Oh wow, something's happened," and you're like, "Oh, okay, I get it. It's a boring town or whatever."
That's all great.
Let's get back to the logic of it now.
Oh my god! So say you're a security guard Bretton at the jail, and like and you're doing your inspections, and a prisoner's hanged himself somehow in a prison. You're like, feck. Do you, Brenton, then unlock the door as your first thing and not radio anyone, and just walk in to inspect the body, and then mutter to yourself, "Huh, no one could have possibly hung themselves," and then have the fucking villain from License to Kill, the bloody Bond villain, just suddenly spring to life and then choke you?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that protocol,
dude. Like,
Brenton? Is that what you would do?
no, it's not. It's not protocol. It's not even protocol for him to like take the letter off, basically, and like open like probably the suicide note. As you can probably presume.
To who
and,
it
like,
may
be like,
concern, Jesus.
Let me just like have a quick squiz of this to see what's, because no one could possibly hang themselves, and like looks down and is like, oh fuck, I've been assaulted. Oh no. Yeah, it could have been easily avoided. Exactly. I agree.
What do you think of that whole family?
Speaking of the exactly, let's get to it. What the fuck's going on here?
What the fuck is going on? Yeah, because I don't understand what the dynamic is. First, we never really get like the crimes that they've done.
There's three brothers. Okay, so you got the two brothers that are
Motherfucker. Oh my god.
So you got the two brothers that are obviously like vying for the mum, like basically the mum's like admiration and attention, and the mum is just like this, like obviously the matriarch of the family, and it's just like, honestly, there could be like a prequel to this film that's like just that family and like how they came to be, like how they came to exist, how they got into crime, what happened to their dad.
Why is one of them an opera singer?
I know, like, because they're Italian. It's like they're meant to be like, oh
Jesus, the 80s stereotypes just keep ramping up.
That's what I mean. Like, it's like that was the justification. It's like they're Italian, cool,
and they have a fridge full of gelato. Wow.
Yeah, the gelato's obviously to feed sloth, right?
Yeah,
like, what.
Yeah, it's there to feed sloth because it's probably the only thing he can eat with his mouth. That's probably why his mouth is so rotten. But I love, before we get into sloth, I do want to talk about the mum a little bit, because I love that when the kids first stumble onto the restaurant, apart from her whipping the knife out, she kind of does nothing wrong. Like, she's like, no, we'll serve you. No, in that moment, besides the knife, she's like, she sits them down, she gives them a liquid, she's like, oh, what do you want? It's like,
but it's like her tone of voice as well. Like, there's a way to interact, to safely interact and handle children, basically.
Yes.
That, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you were a crime lord, and so some rando group of kids that came in with a treasure map, and we're like, well, look at the treasure, whatever. We just come to the restaurant, and the restaurant's clearly closed, and you just be like, oh, hey kids, like, do you need me to call anyone, or like, you know what I mean? Like, you just handle it.
Yeah.
You just fucking handle it. And I get that they're on the run and they don't want to like be seen or whatever, but like, there's a way to handle that situation, and like, Because at the end of the day, they've been found out. Like, those kids, either they kill the kids, which is horrible, and, like, so they don't go home to their parents, but the parents are going to be like, where the fuck are the kids? And then there's going to be a whole manhunt, like, on this town, which they could probably put 2 and 2 together and be like, maybe the kids found the fucking crime family that's just been, like, just escaped from prison. So, like, there was no real, like, but the option was basically that, like, you just send the kids on their way, send them home, like, be nice to them, get them out of there, because they're kids at the end of the day, and then you just fucking leg town. Like, get out of there anyway. Like, and just... Like, that's the logic of the situation. Instead, she treats them like a piece of shit. She brings them into the restaurant, sure, and, like, maybe that was the original intent to, like, be nice to them, but, like, she's being a fucking, like, scary asshole to them, and then proceeds to grab one kid by the face.
Yeah.
By the face.
We eat tongues. Like, oh.
And say they eat tongues and flick a knife out and, like, as if, like, she's going to cut
But
their
what a
tongue
smart
out.
Alec to be like, oh, what do you want from the restaurant? You can clearly tell that, like, they're in a shit situation. It's like, oh, have all this Italian food. It's like, kid, what are you doing? And the kids on the side are overacting to their death. Being like,
I know.
No,
It's
no,
crazy.
don't say that. I'm like,
Where the fuck did she get that water from as well? Like, why would she think
what
that's okay?
was that, by the way? Was it like ginger ale? Like, I don't know what that shit was.
When she put it down, I was like, whoa, is she going to poison the kids? Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
You
I'm
know
like,
what I
don't
mean?
you dare drink that, kids. It's like, oh. But then, like, they kind of, like, leave, and then they bump into, like, Josh Brolin, like, no, let's go back into that situation. It's like, you're all idiots. It's like...
And that's when they find Sloth.
I thought he was a goblin at first, actually. I thought for some reason they're going to introduce some fantasy, and he was an actual goblin. And I'm like... Because also going into this movie, I had no idea what all of this was about, so I'm like, maybe it is
Did you?
fantasy.
So you had no ideas? You'd never seen any images of Sloth?
No.
Okay.
Have you?
Okay, so I'd seen, like, images of Sloth, and I thought as well it must be, like, a fantasy aspect to this film.
Yeah.
There must be, like, goblins or something in it.
Because no
and,
human
like,
alive would look like this, apart from maybe the Elephant Man.
Exactly. But no, it's a human being.
What
and
happened?
It's
What
their
happened,
brother
Brenton?
that they chain
Yeah.
in a basement to like a television. It's actually horrifying. Like, it's absolutely horrible. Like,
Oh,
what they do
jeez.
to this guy, and they.
And the mother kind of explains it at one point where she's like, oh, I dropped you a lot as a kid. But even if you, like, hurled a child at a floor, like, every day, they would still not look like that man.
No.
Like, his eye is, like, halfway down his face. And, like, it's, like, swollen everywhere. Like, what's going on? And, like, why is he in the movie? Not why is that character? Why is that character like that in the movie?
So I just want to say a little bit of trivia here, because so the makeup for that took 5 hours to complete, obviously, because there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But you know how the eyes on the side of his face? Because I was like, at first I was like, oh, what the fuck's going on there? How does that achieve? So that eye is, like, way out of place. Like, no human's eye should be there. But it was actually mechanically operated, that one eye.
Oh.
So it was operated by remote control. So someone would count down to the actor, like, when they could blink, basically. Like, during scenes. And so, like, he would blink, and they would make it blink at the same time, synchronized with his blink.
That is mental.
Can you imagine?
Props to
like
the
that?
actor who did that. Like, well
Yeah,
done.
exactly. So obviously, like, the cast was also told, like, that prosthetic, it could not get wet, aside from, obviously, the scenes.
Some kid's got, like, a water bottle near him going, hey.
Aside from the films with, like, in the pirate ship and, like, in that lake, underground lake. But unfortunately, he got wet one day. Like, that got wet one day, and it actually delayed it. Like, filming had to stop for the day. They couldn't film.
Whoa.
But getting back to why he's in the movie, I was thinking it's an adventure movie. Maybe they wanted, like, an adventure, like, because there's always a character that's kind of like, that's not human, like, whether it's like a dwarf or something, like in Narnia, it's like there's always a character that someone befriends, and they're from a different
They're
world.
not as horrifying or, like...
There can be, like, that's kind of a stereotype in itself. And then I was like, they obviously wanted a character like that was linked in, that was from like a monster, basically.
Yeah.
And dude, just make it fantasy, like, just make it a monster, make it a pirate monster or something.
Yeah.
Like, just go there, like, and yet,
Like, he's the guardian of the treasure or something like that.
that's for me, that's the biggest problem with it. Like, that if it was just like a monster that was, like, guarding the treasure, or like the family had found, like, then they'd be like, oh, this guy was in the fucking basement of this house, like, in this tunnel system, fuck, so we chained him up. Like, that would make more sense, as opposed to being like, oh, this is our deformed brother.
Yeah.
That we
Also,
changed.
what
Like,
was he doing while they were in prison? Like, did they have to go grab him? Like, was he there before they got out? Like...
well, the mum's out. Like, the mum's not in prison.
Oh, right. Okay. So the mum's just been taking care of this child, waiting for his sons to break
They're breaking
out.
the brother out, at the start. So, yeah, it raises a lot of questions. It doesn't make sense, like, to start off with. But once he's in it, and if you go, like, I can understand that stereotype. Once you win it and if you remove him from like that family, even though there's some great moments at the end when there's some family conflict that comes out.
Jesus, and butting their heads together.
Oh,
and the mum's like hugging him, being like, "Oh, I never meant to hurt you." It's like, oh.
Once you look at it and you look at purely as the relationship with the kids, like I can get amongst it. Like I can see why he's there and I can get amongst it.
Yeah, and he's there to save the day, and he does.
Yeah,
and
he does, and I love that, and I love that he saves the day. I love that he at the end of the day saves the family, and then the kids are like, no, he's not the bad guy or whatever. And then the funniest, his climax, like his arc of the film, is the funniest scene in the movie when Chunk goes to him because Chunk's like obviously had the relationship with him, built the friendship, and they've like bonded over candy bars or whatever and ice cream, and he cares for him, and he cares for him from the film, and you're like, oh, that's really nice, like what a nice kid. And at the end he says, Sloth, you're gonna come live with me now because I love you. Chunk says, I love you too. I love you too, Chunk. And he lifts him up and they kiss each other on the cheek and give the hug. I then wanted it to hard cut to Chunk's parents to be like, that is not happening.
No.
Like, that's
not how this works. Jesus, can you imagine when the parents get rescued, like the fat one being like, oh yeah, he's living with us now, and the parents just being like, who is this man? Like, because we don't know if he's done criminal shit in the past as well. He could have committed crimes. Like,
probably he was probably part of it. He probably but he was, who knows?
Yeah.
Again, I want the sequel setting up Sloth, then Goonies happens, and then there's a prequel film where we get the setup of the family and Sloth's childhood, then we get Goonies, and then we get the sequel, which is like Sloth's lifestyle living with Chunk and his parents.
Oh my God. That would be amazing. Like,
but again, as a kid watching this, you'd be like, "Yay! Like Sloth's gonna go live with Chunk, and that's great." Like I can see why it's there, and I can be like, "Oh, when I'm not being cynical and realistic, I'm like, oh, well, how nice, that's fun." And then but you can't get past the fact you're like, that is not happening.
No, I think it should just turn into Disney's Recess, that sequel movie, where for some reason Chunk, Sloth never completed his education, so he has to go back to school with Chunk, and
Absolutely.
And so he's Chunk's best friend at the school play yard. Maybe there's a bully who tries to pick on him, but then Sloth's there to take care of it. That'd be great.
Do you love that scene where he rips? He comes in first of all, Sloth on the pirate ship, and he's in the pirate garb. He's got the pirate hat and the bandana on. He jumps down and he rips his shirt off.
Oh my
and
God.
underneath is the Superman singlet with the red braces over it.
Which is just so on the fucking nose, because it's yeah, we get it. Richard Donner, he directed that and he directed this, which is why they also get permission to use the John Williams score. But I'm like, does that character need to be wearing that? Has he just worn that his whole life? He got it when he was a kid and just hasn't changed?
I reckon he likes the Superman movie or whatever, and he's seen that and he's gotten the singlet. They've given him the singlet because he really wanted it, and then he's covered it up and he's just been waiting for the day where he can do the Superman rip the shirt off.
That's
and
his
the
character
suits
arc.
underneath. It was. But for me, that was the most get hype moment in the film. Because it was
God.
I was just like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah, boy, go, do it, save the day. Come on, son. And he does.
And
he does it.
God bless him for doing all that. I liked him. Despite the deformity of it all, I didn't actually have an issue with Sloth. I'm you know what?
No.
Bless you for doing your thing. But it just feels still so out of place in this movie.
Dude, it makes literally no sense.
It robs the Goonies of having an arc where they get to defeat the villains, because they don't defeat the villains. They just get the treasures and fuck off. Whereas that guy has to clean up his own mess.
I kind of like it though, because it along the way, it shows that the kids honor the system, and they're smarter than the. I still think that you get the payoff because and the reason you get the payoff is because at the end they don't set off the booby trap. Sean Austin goes, no, we're not going to take the treasure off the scales. And so they just take what they need from around it.
Yeah,
and then they leave.
I like that a lot. And also that was the biggest setup. You could so tell the villains are going to pick that up.
The other biggest setup in this film is the fucking dynamite, which I hated.
Oh my
God. But they were like, oh, check out these candles.
Oh, actually, I didn't hate the dynamite as much.
Oh, dude, the whole time when they kept going, oh my God, it's clearly got dynamite written on it. And they're like, they're candles. I was like, what the fuck's wrong with you? They're clearly dynamite sticks.
I know.
There's enough, at this time, you can say, in the 80s, there's enough.
Children should know what dynamite is. They have.
There's enough pop culture. You watch Looney Tunes, you watch anything.
Yeah. It's like an Acme stick. You get that.
Yeah.
It's like that scene in Hoodwinked when the squirrel picks up the stick and he's like, Dynamite. And Patrick Warburton is like, wait a minute.
That's dude, Hoodwinked. What a great reference, dude. Love it.
It's probably the best scene. Actually, that is the best scene in Hoodwink when they're going through like the mine shafts and all that. Like,
Yeah, dude. I remember really enjoying that film and enjoying like the wolf, especially. That was like all my favorite scenes were like involved the wolf. I was like, this guy's great.
he's amazing.
Especially because he's got a great voice actor, but that's okay.
That's all right.
Getting back to this though, the dynamite scene when it's like, because it was the biggest, like I was like, oh god, when's this gonna come up? And it comes up at the very end when they could just easily walk out of the cave, and then someone goes, oh, I can't quite see. Let me light this dynamite stick, and they blow up the exit.
Which also just makes another rock fall in its place. It does literally nothing.
Yeah, and then Sloth comes over and saves the day again, and I was like, oh, it was worth it for the Sloth moment.
Oh my god, the kid's all crawling through his legs. It's like, oh Jesus, like.
Oh yeah, and then Chunk crawls back through and looks up from between his legs. He's like, Sloth, come through, I love you. And Sloth's like, I love you too, Chunk. Like, it was so stupid.
It was so stupid. Do you want to actually know? Like, there's so many stupid things in this movie. Do you want me to know the stupidest thing in my opinion? The stupidest thing I think I saw in this movie, and for some reason they just decided to run out of budget when this happened, was the bats. Because it is so obviously, when the bats are in front of the kid's face, it's the most obvious, just a puppet dangling on a bit of string.
Dude,
and like, you can tell some puppeteers just hanging it above the kid's face.
It goes to that shot of the girl with the short hair, like the
Oh
friend,
my god.
and she's like, and like that was the worst one. It had like 3 bats around her, and they're just like shaking it. It's so funny, dude.
It's just, it's so obviously like a bat on a string. Like there's no, like you can kind of see, like it's not flying the right way. It's kind of just hovering in the spot as like it's from the. It's like a home movie. I'm like, why? Why is a movie with all this amazing production design for some reason like having these stupid AF bats? Like the wings aren't even moving; they're literally frozen as the bats are kind of dangling in front of the kids. Like,
Well, you know they didn't lose budget because did you like? This is what's insane about this movie. I read this and I was just like, what the fuck? This shot was mostly shot in sequence.
Really?
Yeah.
That's rare. That's amazing.
Yeah. And so it took them like 5 months to shoot it.
Wow.
Why? Maybe for the kids, maybe like to get the continuity.
I mean, I know
like,
Spielberg did that for E.T., right? Because he shot that also in sequence. Like,
yeah.
That's so weird. I mean,
so maybe for the kids, but like it's just I just thought that was really fascinating.
Brendan, did you find it fascinating when Josh Brolin stole a child's tricycle?
I love that moment. Did you also love it that he promises that he will like bring it back whatever?
Yeah, he never will.
That bike is like trashed somewhere because those kids in the car like come up beside him. Oh, what the fuck? That guy was such a fucking like that
Josh
character
Brolin
was the
could have
worst.
died when he went off that cliff. Like,
yeah, and then he's just like laughing, and then the girls are like, "Oh, so sorry, like what a dick," and it's like, "Yeah, what a dick, what a fucking psychopath."
Yeah,
like if you saw a mate, if you're like got your P plates or whatever, and you're driving home from school, and you see me on my bike, do you come up beside me and grab me by the arm and go, "Let's go," like and like just speed up to like 60 k's an hour?
And it's so funny because they offer him a lift at first. It's like, say yes, like take the lift. Like, why would you say no in that scenario?
I literally wrote the note though of like, because he obviously doesn't like the guy. Like, he knows the guy's. Maybe he knows the guy's a psychopath.
Because the guy's dad is the one kicking them out. So like,
yeah. But like when Josh Brolin went off that cliff on the tricycle, I was like, well, he's dead now. Like that's the end of that arc.
Goodbye,
he's
Josh
dead.
Brolin.
There's no way you survive that.
No, and when he kind of walks out unscathed, I'm like. The character's like, oh, where have you been? He's like, don't talk about it. Like,
I love that. I love that it like acknowledges it. Like that's funny. But you know, the next moment we see him is when he rocks up in that restaurant and he like grabs the kid from behind. He's like, we're getting the fuck out of here, basically.
Yeah.
And they're like, what happened to you? And he's like, you just.
Let's ignore that. Like, because obviously once this movie ends, like he must go back home, and that's obviously like a neighbor that like he lives nearby, so she'll recognize him at like the grocery store. Like, mummy, that's the man who sold the tricycle, and Josh Brolin's like, fuck, like we have to use our now new riches to like buy this kid a new tricycle. That would have been good. Totally. Actually, if we got a scene at the end where like he gets a new tricycle for her, that would have been nice.
Can we talk about that scene? Speaking of that dick jock guy that is the cause for the tricycle going off the cliff.
Yeah.
He comes back a couple times in the film, and one of the times is at this wishing well.
Jesus.
When it's established like that this girl is like in hysterics basically at the bottom of this well and is like needs help to get out. And this guy is just like, oh, well, I guess I can get with her now. And it's like, what the
Are you gonna sleep with her the second she comes off the well? Like, what's the story there? Like
what the fuck was going on? And obviously, like, to be fair to this guy, like, I think, like, in the continuity of this film, you can imagine that he also goes to the police because he's there when the police get there at the end. So he's obviously, like, gone to the police and been like, oh, I think...
It has that road game syndrome where all the characters rock up at the end for no reason with the police.
Yeah,
like...
exactly. So I guess that justifies that maybe he went to the police and said, oh, fuck, these kids are, like, stuck in the well. But it's also like he's, like, lifting the thing up, the bucket up laughing, like with his mate, like he's going to get with this girl finally. And I'm like, there's a bunch of children stuck in the,
he
down
doesn't
the bottom
know
of a well. It doesn't matter if there's one stuck down there, Nathan.
Yes.
If you were like fucking, like there was a hole in the ground that was like 20 meters deep, and there was someone screaming for help at the bottom of it, being like, get me out of here.
Yeah. Your potential partner.
Yeah, and would you then turn to me, your mate, and say, well, you know what this means? Like, you know, like, holy fuck.
Geez.
Like,
as she says of the jacket, it's like, that'll be even more haunting. It's like, oh, wait, maybe something's gone wrong if it's just the jacket. You know what I mean? But he kind of like just scoffs it up.
he's just like, oh, it's not her. I was like, what?
And he's so out of place as well. He's like a 1950s jock. Like, he doesn't even belong in the 80s. It's like...
Totally. I totally
You can so
agree.
see Spielberg just being like, oh, this is what like guys were like when I was a kid. I'm like, yeah, because you were born in the 40s, Spielberg. It's like, people aren't like that, especially in the 80s. Jeez.
How much do you think Spielberg was involved in this?
Well, I actually have a fun fact about that, because there was, in Sean Astin's biography, he wrote that essentially Richard Donner and Spielberg were co-directors. Because, like, they were on set and doing the same kind of shit.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Spielberg was heavily involved.
Like unofficially a co-director. Like his hand was
I love
very
that.
much in that part. And Sean Astin was, he spilled the tea. He was like, yeah.
He spilled the tea. Love it.
So that was Sean Astin. It was great.
Do you know also about Sean Astin that like
Is it Austin or Astin? We'll be going back and forth.
Sean Astin? I call him Austin.
Who
I don't
cares? But yeah,
know. I think it's probably Astin, but I think if it's you know what, it is probably Sean Astin. Sean Astin. You know when actors get to keep props and shit from like films, like, and it's really fucking cool.
yeah, and he's
You're
probably
like,
got all this
you
Lord
know,
of the Rings shit. Like, yeah.
You're like, you can imagine that like Elijah Wood, like he's said he's got the ring, and it's like, that's fucking cool.
What has he got from Goonies? Like a coin?
He was
a doubloon.
I got a few facts here. So he was allowed to keep the treasure map used in the film, right?
Oh, I got a fact about that as well. Go on.
But okay, so he's allowed to keep that. But several years later, his mum, Patty Dew, found it and just thought it was some fucking like crinkled up piece of paper.
Oh, no.
And threw it in the fucking bin, and so he lost it. Like he doesn't have it anymore.
Oh no!
But do you know what's the most interesting thing about props being kept during this film? You know that fucking huge, amazing pirate ship that's like out of this world, like just looks insane.
Yes, I think I know this fact. Yeah.
Someone they basically said whoever wants this can keep it.
Yes,
Like
I
this
did
whole
read
pirate
this.
ship.
Yeah, yeah.
And
No one wanted it.
no one could keep it. Everyone was like, well, I can't fucking have that. And then like, so they were just like, oh well, and just like dismantled it and threw it away.
Yeah, because they said you can just have it, just someone take it, and no one wanted a fucking pirate ship.
Like, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Like, but can you imagine if someone like just had the property to just, and like the want or the desire.
Yeah,
to
they
put,
had like a lake
huge-
in like their backyard or something like that. Like they lived out in the country, and they're like, "Fuck it, let's have a pirate ship."
Even if you just like had a backyard and you just like put this thing in your backyard just for your kids to run around and like play through.
Could you imagine growing up and you have a whole pirate ship? Like
That's what I meant. I was like,
the one
holy
from Goonies,
fuck.
no less as well.
Yeah. And just like come around to my place, we'll jump on the ship. What do you mean?
Imagine you like having an 18th or a 21st of your house, and you had that pirate
Oh
ship.
my god!
Could you imagine?
Having an event on the pirate ship? Holy shit, dude!
Oh my god!
Holy shit!
That would be the best thing you would ever go to in your life. Like everyone's like drunk out of their minds, and they're like playing with the skeletons, and like there's still all the booby traps there. Like, oh, it'd be great. It'd be so great,
Wow.
Brenton. Oh, speaking of the booby traps, I love that they just blatantly inserted a water slide into this movie just to add
I
to
know.
how much fun it was.
Dude, like we'll talk about that later. We'll definitely talk about that later. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of right before that moment, you and me, we're music students, so we know this. One, was no child trained in reading sheet music back in the 80s? Because I feel like that's something we did in primary school.
Yeah, I agree. But also, like, she clearly can't read sheet music because she's talking about chords, but it's like just one melody line. Like, it doesn't make.
Yeah, it's one melody. Yeah, I know. There's that. But I wrote this line down because at what point does she? So for the final note, does she ask if it's an A sharp or a B flat? I think she says that line because she's
I
trying
can't
to get to the
remember.
last note. She's like A sharp or B flat, and I'm like, they're the same note. What are you doing? What a keyboard.
Maybe that was a joke. Maybe that was just a muso joke just put in there for funsies.
Chris Columbus is just throwing it out there. Oh Christ, that effect of when the floor just like crumbles as she's playing the piano and like Josh Brolin's like, whoa! It's like he's dangling back.
It was kind of all for nothing though, because like then they could clearly just like get around it anyway, like the villains and obviously Sloth.
Yeah,
and Chunk.
somehow the villains made it around. It's like,
Yeah, they were just like, oh, we just like hug the wall and get around it.
I
was
want to
like,
see that
that's a bit
scene.
Underwhelming. Hey, dude, you said you had a fact about the map though.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that treasure map was covered in real blood.
What?
Yeah, so the production designer called Michael River, so he thought the prop looked too new, like it was too newly printed. So to make it old, back in primary school we did that thing where you get a tea bag
Yeah, you
and
get
you
like
edge the
you
paper.
get tea bag. Yeah.
So they do that in real life in production props, but he still thought it looked too new. So he wanted to add blood, but the prop department was out of paint. So he just cut his finger and dripped his own blood on the edges.
Oh, yuck. That's so gross.
I know! The production designer did that.
And gave it to kids.
Gave it to children. It's like, what are you doing?
And Sean Astin kept it.
Oh, thank God they threw it out. It's like, that thing has got disease probably. Like, jeez.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Brenton, did you love that when that kid almost fell on the spikes and for some reason that little jaw thing is able to carry his whole fucking weight?
I know, right? And he's like, hey, I see a path down here. And it's like, yeah, I also see some big fucking spikes.
Yeah, man. If I was in that scenario, that's when I would scream. I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, I'd be looking down below like.
And like, I'd be going, pull me the fuck out of here. Like now, get me the fuck out of here.
Oh my God.
But no.
Should we finally talk about the ending, Brenton? Should we just, that final scene where all the kids reunite with their fam?
Absolutely.
Oh my
Let's
God.
get into it.
Because there's so much going on. Okay.
We've already covered the sloth thing.
We covered the sloth thing. But here's the thing. So if I was a police officer and I recognize this crime family and that's at large, and like I'm starting to make all the arrests, and some random kid just suddenly waltzed up and stood in front of the monster and said, hey, don't arrest him. He's my friend. He's innocent. As a police officer, would I just suddenly believe that kid and then just let him go and arrest the others?
Even if that was the case, Sloth then assaults a police officer by like putting his hands on him and lifting him in the air in a threatening way, and then puts him back down. And like immediately, it's like that guy should be under arrest.
No,
like
I would arrest all of them and let the court decide in like a trial if like they're innocent.
Like just go to questioning, like to start off with, like, oh hi, were you involved? And then pretty quickly, and they're like, pretty quickly, it's like, oh, we can't question this guy.
Just give him some ice cream. I can't believe it. I can't believe that when the fat one reunites with his whole family, they literally have Domino's pizza waiting for him.
I bought your favorite pizza, and then he starts screaming again at the mum of some dialogue, being like, "You bought my favorite pizza!" Like I was like, "Oh God!"
And he's more excited to see the pizza than his mother. It's like Jesus. Also, she presumed like she had the time. Okay, so also she was told that they found the children. The police found the children, but she managed to spend the time to get a pizza on the way rather than rushing to see her child. Like she clearly went to Domino's on the way. It's like,
yeah.
Go to Domino's after. Get the kid first.
Maybe she got it delivered to the location.
Yeah, in the middle of this fucking island. Jesus.
Oh, wait. She doesn't have a cell phone. Sorry. It's
I know. This is not Uber. But like, you know what? When I saw that island, you know what it reminded me of when you first see that shot of the island? Have you been to Byron Bay and seen that island off the coast?
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of that one. And I'm like, maybe that one's got treasure.
Maybe we should go check it out.
Oh, jeez,
hey. Guys, we're gonna take a quick break from the podcast.
Yeah,
we're just gonna
see if we can find some
Byron.
gems. Those are the fakest looking jewels I've ever seen in my life.
Fakest bullshit. There's a lot of like cheesy bullshit that happens in this last scene that's kind of hilarious.
Oh my
so like
God.
it's then revealed that basically Sean Astin, like the girl goes up to Sean Astin and is like, keep kissing, like it says some creepy ass line like to her.
Jesus macking out in front of their parents. It's like, let the girl's father worry
Oh
about
my
that.
God, Josh Brolin's kissing in this movie is
my God.
full on.
Jesus
so
Christ.
full on.
Last week we shat on 7 Year Itch. We said 7 Year
Yeah.
Itch had shit kissing. Not
This
compared
is like
to this.
full on. This is like when they kiss for the first time, like in the lake, the underground lake, and he's just macking on. I was like, good Lord, like that was like so full on for like an on. That's like probably the most full on screen kiss I've seen like
Jesus.
ever. And it's from Josh Brolin. I was like, oh gosh. And then they have another one at the end, but she says that creepy line to Sean Astin, like, keep kissing like that, and the girls are like the putts.
Yeah,
that are not.
What a backhanded compliment. Like,
I was like, oh, and like Sean Astin's face is even like, oh, what a fucking bitch.
yeah,
Like,
I
Jesus.
know. What an insult. I also can't believe that she kisses this child. Also, we see her kiss the child. Like, we see the silhouette. So obviously they did it. And then, like, she's just kind of like, oh, ha, 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 what a silly thing. It's like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, in real life, I could name names, I won't. But in real life, I know people who've kissed siblings. Like mates who've kissed, like,
Ew.
sisters. And I'm like they made up with one sister, then they made up with another. And I'm like, and in every scenario, it's being like, what the fuck have you done? You know what I mean? In fact, I will name names. It's Logan, Brenton. He's made out with sisters. And every time he
Classic shout out to Logan.
Oh.
I swear that's going to become like a segment on the show as well.
just like, it's great because we'll give no context except for the shittiest stories I have on one of my mates. But like every time he'll come to see me and he's like, oh, I made it with two sisters. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like,
when you first brought up kissing siblings. I thought you meant that like I know like siblings that have like made out. I was like,
Oh
what
no,
the
no,
fuck?
not that
I
incest.
was yeah.
Like he'll go out and there'll be some like sisters on a night out and like he'll make out with one and then the night will progress and he'll suddenly make out with the other.
God,
I know.
Logan, Jesus
And I'm like,
Christ.
and if I was, I'm like, I don't know. You know, you do what you want, but I'm like, in my opinion, I don't think that's a good thing.
No. Neither is incest. So moving on.
Yeah, anyway, the fat kid, he's got the same shirt as dad. Who would have thought?
Yeah, and then let's go through all of it. And then the final kind of family moment, I guess, we get... No. So we have the next romantic moment between Mouth and the short-haired girl that they kind of have a moment where they're
which
like...
is not really established that much throughout the movie. Like, it's kind of
No,
just happens.
I saw it coming. I was like, oh, there's like this weird thing going
He
on.
likes his
between
older
these
women.
two.
Like, oh.
Yeah, and I was like, and then she's kind of going for it as well. I was like, oh, this is weird. And at the
Oh,
end,
yeah!
I thought they were going to kiss, and then like, thank God they hugged.
No,
I
thank
was
God
like,
they
oh,
didn't.
Jeez.
But I just realized we've neglected a character this entire review that we haven't mentioned yet.
Who?
The maid. We haven't talked about the Spanish maid, who at the start he completely convinces that their house is a drug den, and I loved it. I love that scene. My favorite scene in the whole movie.
Okay, so I was like, oh, this guy's a shit talker, and like he
Yeah.
obviously like knows what he's saying. But at the end, it's like he's trying to understand what she's saying in Spanish. So did he unintentionally say that their house was a drug den? Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like,
No, that was definitely deliberate.
But at the end, he couldn't work out what she was saying.
Maybe. So do you reckon he memorized that whole fucking speech in Spanish? He actually can't speak Spanish, but he translates the map. Like he knows the language.
So then why didn't he? Because it was obviously for like
Maybe because she's speaking panically. Maybe he just like she was mumbling.
No, it's because it's the climax of the movie, and it's being like, oh, tension, he's about to sign the thing. Like, realistically, he would have just gone, oh, she's saying this, don't sign
Yeah,
that.
but they had to like ramp up the tension. It's like, yeah. It's like, I love her though. Bless her for finding like the gems and the marbles, and also not
Good
just
on
like, and also not for her just like quietly keeping it, just like,
And also for not like, like quitting her job like instantly when she found out that like the house
it would have
was
been
booked in, like-
it would have been so much funnier if like she found the gems and she just silently pocketed it and just watched them sign it, then just walks off. That would have been so much better. Oh, I would have
Nathan,
loved
the
it.
final family moment, we've got to talk about wholesome content.
Short round. He actually has a character arc, and we realize why he's been building these gadgets.
Yeah, and his dad goes to take a photo, and he has like one of these crazy gadgets, and the camera
Oh my
whips
God.
out like on one of these things, and he takes the photo when the film pops out, and he's like, "Oh no!" And then he's this is the cheesy bullshit. His son goes, "What does his son say?" He says, "Dad, like you don't need to capture the moment of like a hug or something."
Yeah.
Or like, and then the dad says to the son, "You're my greatest invention," and it's
Oh
like,
my
and then they
God.
hug, and you're just like,
cliche bullshit.
dude, I loved it though. I was so amongst it. I was like, what a wholesome content moment.
It's
I was
good,
like, oh.
and I'm like, I'm glad they explained it. I'm glad they explained why this kid was building these gadgets because it was
Yeah.
to connect with his dad. I'm like, I'm all for that. Like, make him the protagonist. I was all for that. Like, oh, what a good kid,
Nathan, shall we get into some special segments?
mate. We let's get some special segments.
Special segment.
Ooh, so special.
So, Nathan, I'm actually going to bring up a new special segment right
Ooh.
now. I'm springing it on you.
I love it. I love a surprise special segment. What is it, mate?
So, in a previous episode, I mentioned Lego Dimensions.
Oh my God, Brenton.
And I said that Mission Impossible has Lego Dimensions pack, and it was a level pack that came with Ethan Hunt.
Oh, don't tell me you have Goonies.
I don't have it, but I did some research on the Goonies level pack.
Oh my God, Brenton.
This is Lego.
What do we call this segment?
Is this film Lego Dimensioned?
Oh my God, you sure?
So this film has a Lego Dimensions mission pack, which comes with one character and a vehicle. It comes with a vehicle that you can put in the game.
Is the vehicle the ship?
You're gonna guess all three.
Oh,
so,
good. Okay.
And the other thing is like a tool or something you can use. So Nathan, which character do you think is like because this also unlocks like the level pack, like a story pack, in which you can go
okay.
in, play as the Goonies and stuff, and like have fun. But there's one character that's like your little titular character that you can then take between levels. And
Yeah, obviously it's the monster.
dude, it's Sloth. There's a Lego version of Sloth with his
Oh my
Superman singlet and his braces,
God.
and it's like legitimately. Lego Dimensions Goonies, get amongst it. So you also guessed correctly what the vehicle is, and that it's the ship.
Oh my God. That's fantastic. I'm such a fan. I wish the tool was just like that kid's jacket with all the different inventions. Like that would have been cool.
So Nathan, can you guess the final piece?
Is it the map or like?
No, it's not the map. That's a good guess, but it's something else that you can like bring into the game and use.
Is it the kid's jacket where he's got all the different inventions? Like,
No, Nathan.
what is it?
It's the piano.
Why?
It's the skeleton piano that I think you can play. You build it and you can put it in the game and you can play it. And I think I think it causes like destruction and shit. Like it like.
Oh my god.
What a time, dude. What a time. So this film was Lego Dimensioned, and you can look up the images and you can look up the videos of like the end, that final scene in Lego, like it's been Lego gamed.
Oh really?
Yeah, dude.
Oh my god. I'm gonna look it up right now because I feel like I need to see this. All right, I'm gonna look this shit up right now, Brenton, because I need to. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. What the? Okay. Oh my. Okay, I'm looking at the photo of it now. Jesus Christ. So like they've made his deformity like for Sloth look like a hat, like he's wearing, like he's got like a normal Lego
like a
head,
hat.
but like, and he's got the big ears and all that. That ship looks cool AF, dude. Okay, no, that ship and piano, I would build that in real life. That looks cool.
Yeah, holy fuck, how cool is it?
On Google Images, like they've remade the cutscene with all the other kids, like as other characters.
That's like in the level pack. So like obviously like during the level pack you can like play as the other kids and shit and like do like bits of the
that's
Goonies
cool.
film. And then you can bring your Simpsons characters in and shit. But like yeah, so like the last scene's been Lego-fied. Look at them all.
That's so cool.
Having a good time.
No, I'm a fan of that, man. I would build that in real life.
So that is
Let's
the
rate
Goonies
that and let's
was-
say whether we'd build it in real life. Letter writing to that section.
Dude, I'd build that.
Oh, amazing. That'd be good 7 seasons, actually. Just like the best Lego sets based off movies. There you go.
Dude, what a great... We're going to do that at some point. We're going to do... Oh,
That's done. That's probably the best idea we've ever had.
congratulations. Well done, mate. Well done.
done.
Coming up with the ideas.
Oh, after our Holmes episode, we're just on a streak, Brenton.
Woo.
Oh.
Ooh.
Brenton, what influences have we seen from this movie?
So you've named a few of them during this episode.
Well, the big two obviously are It and Stranger Things, right?
Yeah. You could also say like Super 8. There was that movie Super 8.
Oh yes, Super 8. Oh, fuck off, JJ. I'm still angry about Star Wars.
JJ's version.
Obviously, there's other derivative shit as well, like you can
Yeah.
find out there. But yeah, obviously this looms large over those properties. But I argue that I think out of Stranger Things, It and this, I feel like the other two do it much better than this. You'd rather watch It or Stranger Things, right? I mean, famously, you didn't watch Stranger Things, did you?
I've only seen the first season of Stranger Things.
Oh, there you go. Did you like that more than Goonies?
I had more fun with Goonies.
But did you like it more? Like, or what do you think's better? Because I feel like the other two are better than this.
I think like if you're looking for quality content, Stranger Things is most definitely better. But I have more fun
easily.
with Goonies, so I'd watch Goonies again, and I still haven't seen the second and third. I haven't gone back to Stranger Things. I've just had no interest. I've just always been like, oh yeah, whatever.
But Sean Astin is in the second season. They bring him in.
Yeah, because obviously that's like a throwback to
Yeah, and he's
to-
great.
yeah.
He's really, really good in the second season. Like, it's worth it for Sean Astin.
Fun to I might look. I'll watch it at some stage, but like the thing is, TV shows are such an investment. I find, and it's like I want to know
Yeah.
that it like that the finale's good and that it kind of ends good before I like commit.
Oh, you
to,
watched
like,
Witcher,
watching it.
mate. Like,
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's because I'm a
Yeah.
nerd, though. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I
Jesus.
just get amongst it.
buddy, throw your coin to that Witcher, whatever that shit is. Like,
No, I did toss it.
oh, there we go.
Nathan, would this be a good theme park ride?
Brenton, this is the most theme park movie I think I've ever seen in my life. To the point where the sets look as though they literally grabbed them from a theme park. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, dude. Like you could like go through the Goonies ride and like
It's like that ship at SeaWorld that you can literally walk on. Like,
yeah, that's it. Like
Yeah.
or like even like a boat ride or something, and you're going through it, like the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland, and you're doing
Yeah.
that, and you're going through scenes from the film, and it like ends with this big climax.
like
and,
the cart
Sloth
falls
saves the
down
day.
almost on the spikes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and then like and like at the end, like Sloth lifts the rock, and you go under the rock, and you get out of there and whatnot, and you end on the beach.
oh
and, like,
yeah,
the
like an
family's on there.
animatronic sloth like comes over. Like,
Dude, and he's like cheering at the end. You know, they all do the big cheer at the end as the ship comes out. Like, hey!
hey, have you been on the Indiana Jones ride?
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's literally just that. Just change like Indy for like the bloody Goonies cast, and that would work so well. Like, also, wait, who distributed this movie? Was it Fox?
I'm looking that up now.
Because I want to see if Disney owns it. Because like,
No, it's Warner Brothers.
oh, Warner, oh, they put it in the Gold Coast. Doing it.
Put it in Movie World, dude. I'd go do it.
Oh,
Dude, they used to have a Gremlins ride at Movie World. They need the Goonies ride. Come on.
no, mate. Now
Get
that they're
your
taking down
priorities
Scooby-Doo,
right.
replace Scooby-Doo with like Goonies, and I'd be happy for that. I feel like this would work better as a theme park ride.
Oh, absolutely, but the Scooby-Doo ride's classic, so don't get rid of that.
No, don't touch that one. No, but like, yeah, I'm all for that. Please build it because it just like every prop looks as though they came from a theme park ride. I feel like, especially the doubloons as well. I'm like, wow, like I'm at SeaWorld. Like, it's crazy.
For sure.
Brenton, I want to ask you a very important question, and that's in a battle royale of like the kids from like the Goonies versus the kids from Stranger Things versus the kids from It, who would win in that group? I want to pit these kids against each other.
So the Goonies would come in last. They would get wiped unless Sloth was with them. Then they've got a chance.
You know, they got Sloth, okay? So it's okay, let's put them against
shit.
Stranger Things. So imagine like Stranger Things kids have got like 11 and like the slingshots and all that. But like the Goonies kids have Sloth. Who would win, 11 or Sloth?
Oh, 11. Like
Yeah, because
like,
you probably just like make them float or something like
that's
that.
what I mean. Like the Stranger Things kids are gonna win, like because they've got 11.
Yeah, 11 is just so OP. Like,
Yeah, so it's OP, but their Sloth's good, so they could probably beat the It kids maybe on a good day.
if it was like the It kids versus the Goonies, like, but then again, the It kids have got like crowbars. Also, they've got insults. So the It kids could just like insult the Goonies, just be like, "Oh yeah, you really are overweight," and be like, "What a cool headband, Josh Brolin," and they're like,
In saying that though, the Goonies have more numbers as well.
They do. They
more
got the
people.
teenagers, yeah. But I think the teenagers wouldn't help that much. I mean, Josh Brolin's been lifting. We've seen that. So he's pretty strong.
Yeah, he'd fuck them up. But like, I think,
I would love it.
I think it would go. I think the It kids would be out first. Unfortunately,
Really? But they can beat
yeah,
up
I think-
Pennywise. If you can beat up Pennywise, you can take on the Goonies.
I think they're gone. I think they go first. I
Why?
think then the Goonies have got Sloth, dude. Like,
Oh, that's true. They do have Sloth. But Sloth can't take out all the It kids at once. Like, they've got crowbars and that kind of stuff.
yeah, but the It kids have got pirate swords as well. Like, they'll fuck you up.
The It kids have pirate swords?
Sorry. The Goonies kids have got pirate swords. Rusty ass.
Oh, that
pirate
is
swords.
true.
They're gonna fuck you up.
That's what the kids got. They've just got their crowbars. That's really it. Like the sticks that
Yeah.
they whack Pennywise with. Like
Oh, that one kid's got the
a gun?
the slaughter gun in It. Like how he's got like.
Oh yeah, is that the one that he like spends like he like loses it like as they go down the tunnel, or whatever?
Yeah,
Is
as soon as he goes in. Yeah.
Like you idiot.
So yeah, I think It kids come last. I think Goonies then with Sloth
Okay.
and the teenagers, like they wreck their shit, and then it like obviously Stranger Things just like
And then
takes
just
it.
11 comes out and like reps it. Okay, but what then, Brenton? If we change the It kids, have you seen It 2 yet?
No.
Okay. Well,
Also, if you change them to adults,
yeah.
like,
What if they were now
obviously-
adults in that scenario? Like it's like Bill Hader and like James McAvoy and like
I think that the Goonies kids could still have a shot.
that's true. Because it weirdly, I'm going to spoil a little bit of it chapter 2, but they're also unarmed in it chapter 2.
Yeah. Well, I've read the book, so I know what happens. So
Oh,
like,
okay, right.
They're also missing a member.
Who?
In It, like It too, like one of them like commits suicide. I
Oh,
presume,
true.
right?
Yeah. So like that's gone. That's
Yeah.
That's gone down.
They're missing numbers. They're low on numbers.
Okay. What if the It kids had Pennywise on their team? Would that change the stakes?
Oh fuck yeah! They would. Yeah, the Goonies are gone. You know what? Pennywise. You know what? If that happened, if Pennywise was on their team, they'd have a chance at taking out Stranger Things. They'd have a chance at taking out
Pennywise
11.
versus 11. I think Pennywise could win.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be. Could you
It'd be
imagine
a fair fight.
That'd be a great. Could you imagine that fight? Could you imagine if, like in Goonies, they go down to find the pirate ship, but it ends up not being the pirate ship in the lake. It ends up being like Pennywise's den. Like the Goonies stumble upon it,
Yeah, they'd be fucked.
and the
They're
movie
not
like segues into like Tim Curry's.
they are not mentally strong enough to like handle that shit. No.
Jeez, no. Could you imagine? I would love. Could you imagine Sloth versus Pennywise? That'd be a good fight.
I feel like Sloth isn't scared of anything, so like
Okay,
it'd be fine.
what if it was Sloth and 11 versus Pennywise? Like they team up.
Ooh,
I think they could
yeah,
win.
I think they could win.
I think if they work together, because he's got the brawn and she's got like the mental powers, I reckon they could do it.
Yeah, and like I said, like Sloth's not scared of anything, so he'd just be like, "Woo, let's go."
He'd be great. Like
Yeah,
11 would like
let's
try and
go.
make a plan, but Sloth would just charge head first. She's like, "Fuck," just like try and bend shit around it.
He'd
Like,
try and give the clown a fucking hug. Like that's what's funny.
he probably would. He'd probably try and hug Pennywise, and Pennywise is like, "What's going on?" Like you try and bite Sloth, but it'd have like no effect. like Sloth just wouldn't care.
Nathan, which child performance is the most annoying in this film?
Oh,
We've agreed.
jeez.
We've agreed that it's what's his name? Chunk.
It's Chunk. Christ, I hate Chunk so much. I really do.
Good on you, Chunk. You won
I don't
the
know what
award.
the child actor's doing these days. Like, I don't know if he's beloved by the public or not, but like, I just praise living a good life, and you know, he's moved on to better things.
Shall I see what Jeff Cohen is up to? Jeffrey Burton Cohen is an American attorney and former
He's a
child
lawyer?
actor. Best remembered for appearing as Chunk in the 1985 Steven Spielberg production
God.
The Goonies.
Did he lose the weight?
I have no idea. Shall we? Let's look him up.
He's now the size of a table.
You know what? He's looking pretty thin.
Hey, good on him.
He's looking pretty thin. His teeth are now. He's worn braces at some stage because his teeth aren't as Hunter's funny.
Jesus.
Yeah. He's a baldy. He shaved his head.
Do you reckon if he's a lawyer now, like in court cases, if like the verdict doesn't go his way, like he just suddenly screams?
Oh my goodness. There's like reunion shots of like the adult cast all meeting up together.
Oh really?
Do you reckon this would ever get a sequel? Like, maybe.
No, probably not.
Maybe a remake.
They tried.
Did
Richard
they?
Donner tried to write a sequel. Yeah. They
There you
tried,
go.
but like they hired a bunch of screenwriters, but like they just what? It just
Oh
didn't
my
work.
goodness. The kid that played Mouth just looks like a creep. He's got oh gosh, he's wearing a beanie. Not cool.
That's the creepy element that Brenton wants to highlight.
He's got the same creepy grin, dude. Oh, not a good time.
Brenton, what stills this movie?
Ooh, it's blinding. So, in case you guys don't know, if you're new listeners, first of all, thank you very much for listening into the show.
Well done. You're sticking in for the long haul.
This very long review, but yeah, it's been fun. So what stills this movie is a segment on the show where either myself or Nathan choose a still, a single frame from the film, which we think is funny, poignant, or just looks really cool. And we put that up on our Instagram and on our YouTube links below. Nathan, there is a certain scene in the film that the kids suddenly decide that they're just going to fuck with the pipes in the underground systems
for
of the
no
town.
reason.
So they start shaking them. And for some reason, like, there's water bubblers that are popping up and down and, like, into people's faces as they're trying to drink. And it climaxes in this moment where this guy sits down on the loo in some public toilet and he takes out this weird-ass magazine of, like, some gun magazine. Like,
guns and ammo. Like you think he's about to, like look at porn or something like that, but for some reason he has to, like, go to the bathroom to read a guns and ammo magazine.
Yeah, well, I presume he's just taking a dump, but he's, like, you know, as people read the paper or something as they're taking a dump. Like, I've never done that in my life, but, like, apparently it's a common
but you've been
thing.
on your smartphone on the toilet, which is essentially the same thing.
That's true. Yeah, that is very true. So he sits down with his guns and ammo magazine. Maybe that was a deal done. You know, maybe that's sponsorship. Who knows?
Well, you're taking a shit. Why not think about the guns? Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Does that exist? I'm gonna look that up as you talk. Go on.
They start rattling it around, and suddenly all this pressure builds, and one of the kids yells, "The pressure's building!" And then it just destroys this toilet. The blast from the water coming up and the pressure coming up out of the sewage system just, like, forces this guy, launches him into the air, and forces his, like, head to go, like, into the roof. And there's this wide shot that captures the whole thing from, like, the front of the toilet that we just see this guy on the toilet seat shoot into the roof.
Jesus, and
That guy's probably dead. Like,
that would never happen in real life. That the water would literally shoot you through the roof. Like, you probably fall.
But if it did,
fall forward. You probably just fall off the toilet seat. Like,
if it did, like, he's dead. Like, his head's either crushed or, like, he's suffered severe brain injuries. So
jeez.
Rip that guy. It's a funny shot.
It's a great shot. It's so stupid and I love it. And I also just want to add that Guns and Ammo is very much a real magazine that exists, Brenton.
There you go. So it was a sponsorship deal. What a weird thing in a kid's film.
What an odd thing to place. Like, and
In a family film.
it was first established in 1958. This magazine. It's like a really reputable magazine about guns and ammunition for some reason. For I don't know, Second Amendment people, but, like, there you go. Look at that.
There you go. Nathan, shall we look at this film's poster?
Let's look at it. Brenton.
Yes.
Let's look at this film's poster.
But is it art? Nathan, I have mixed feelings about this one. Because I like it.
Yeah.
I like it, but I think they've got aspects of it wrong.
Yes.
For instance, I think that Sean Astin should be at the top because he's the main character.
Well, no, I don't think so, because Sean Astin would no way would carry the weight of all those characters below him.
Well, maybe, but maybe he should be the next one down. Like, because I feel like he's too far down. He's like the
for
main
listeners
character.
who are just listening and not looking at the link, it's basically they're in a cave and, like, all the characters are holding, like, Josh Brolin's holding onto this stalactite that hanging down, and, like, all the characters are, like, in a kind of chain holding onto each other's feet below him.
And I love that in, like, the background they've got, like, the map as well. I love that.
Yeah,
Like, I think it's
that
such
looks
a good.
really cool. Have you noticed that, like, though, as the kids are dangling, like the expressions of their faces are the best thing about this poster. Because Short
I know,
Round
right?
is holding the girl's leg, but rather than look up her dress, he's looking really, like, traumatized and trying to avoid it.
Well, I think that was, like, clearly, like, they obviously couldn't have him looking up. Like,
Yeah.
because they were like, that's going to look really
enjoying
bad
the
for
girl's
marketing.
ass as, like, he's dangling off it. Jeez.
But yeah, you have all these kids and they've all got, like, funny facial expressions. And I just want to read the
Oh my god, please.
the kind of slogan here. They call themselves the Goonies, the secret caves, the old lighthouse, the lost map, the treacherous traps, the hidden treasure, and sloth. Ellipsis. Join the adventure. I love it, man. I absolutely love it. And sloth. That is the best thing ever.
That's amazing. I keep that. That does not need to change. Actually, do you mind with you? I don't know what I'd do to improve the poster.
No, I don't know. I think like the order of the kids needs to change, but that's about it.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? I kind of want it to be the fat one to be dangling on, and the rest of them like are holding him below, and you can tell he can't do it, so he's just about to loosen his grip, and they're like about to fall, and that's the frame that they choose.
Sure, Nathan. I'm down. I just think Sean Austin should be near the top. Is all my thing. Sean Austin and Josh Brolin.
He's like, "Don't let go, Mr. Frodo," as he's hanging on. Like,
don't you let go.
He's great.
Reach.
Jesus. No, it'd be great if they inserted Gollum just because it's a cave. So like he's kind of like in the corner, just like about to touch Sean Austin.
Sure, dude.
What does he say about Gollum in that movie in Two Towers? He's like, "I don't like that Gollum. He's no good." You know, like Frodo's like, "Yeah, no shit, Sam." Like, jeez.
Nathan, shall we pass the power to the people?
Let's pass it.
Pass it here.
What?
The power to the people.
All right, Rotten Tomatoes has given this movie apparently a 71% by the critics and 91 from the audiences. And also 500,000 people voted for that 91%. Jesus.
So if I was going to rate this movie, I'd give it like for my enjoyment level, like I'd give it like a 7 or an 8 out of 10. Like, you know what I mean? Like 91's pretty fucking high. But hey, like I said, there's enough like humanity in this that I think people really get amongst it and have a great
public.
time. Such as Kathleen Carroll from New York Daily News, who said, "The Goonies is the kind of hyperactive, peril-packed movie young audiences can't resist."
I mean, what do you think? If you gave this to a kid today, do you reckon they'd love it to death? Like,
Yeah, man, for sure.
they probably would. And I'm like, watch again. You and me every week are just like, watch Zootopia instead. Whatever you think you should be watching as a kid, just rewatch Zootopia. Like, or Ken Hank from the Mountain Express, he didn't like it, Brendan. He said, thank you, Hank, by the way. And he said, all parceled up in one of those gooey money don't buy happiness endings, so beloved by multi-millionaire producers.
Hang on a second. They still get the money, so like, you know, money does buy their happiness in the end.
He's not wrong. Like, yeah, I understand like the hypocrisy of like, you know, Hollywood producers trying to, you know, propagate that message. But at the same time, yeah, they get rich. You're so on the money there. Literally.
They're probably millionaires actually by the end of this. Like,
probably. And like also that pirate ship is full of gold that just sails off into the ocean. They're like, quick, no, commandeer that ship.
they're like waving to it. They're like, oh, there it goes. And I'm like, well, hang on a second. Shouldn't like the authorities be like commandeering that ship and like bringing it in?
Yeah. It's like that has like millions of dollars of gems in it, presumably. Like the booby traps are all done, so like,
yeah,
there's no way those kids would let it sail away. Like,
Joanne O gave it 2 stars and says, "It's a rather unexciting adventure film for children. There's a great deal of shouting and nonsense going on, and I am uncertain of how or why this film became a classic." Nathan, this is like your opinion.
Thank you.
Like, this is like.
It's literally my opinion.
Did you write this review? Is Joanne O an alias for you?
I am.
Oh, Joanne.
I am Joanne O. I did a Tom Cruise face masks option for those listening at home. And Julian A. He gave it 5 stars, Brenton, and wrote, "If you are a teen, you need to watch it. I'm 13 and love it."
Good on you, Julian.
Fantastic.
Good on you, Julian.
Fantastic.
Good on you,
well,
mate.
there we go. There's some evidence that kids love it these days.
Edpin says Thanos beginning.
Could this be a Thanos prequel?
I did write a note at the start as soon as Josh Brolin appeared, and it was just the note that just said perfectly balanced.
It's fantastic. It's like you know, he has to like go down the cave and he's like, oh, the hardest choices require the strongest will. You know? You know, as like the kids are dangling, he's holding like Short Round like bloody Gomorrah, and he has to throw Short Round off the cliff.
Oh my goodness!
Jeez.
And then that slow motion happens, and then like the sad music plays.
Oh, that'd
and
be
amazing. He wakes up in the pirate cave, but like with the stone. He's like, oh.
He comes up from the water, just like it'd be great. And then like there's Short Round going like was it worth it? Like Chongamora, did you do it? What did it cost? and he's like, everything. he's next to the pirate ship. Oh, it'd be great. And lastly, Anthropic Echo wrote on YouTube, "Kids today will never know the awe-inspiring sense of wonder and adventure from 80s movies like this."
I think statements like this are such bullshit.
They are.
Like adventure and the sense of wonder of childhood never goes away. It's always there for like generations to come.
Thank you.
And it's like just because of films like released in the 80s and for some reason people are like, oh, it's these that are
Oh,
the
it's
ones.
the
Like,
80s. I'm like, this wasn't some godsend decade. Like,
for a certain generation, for us, it was like the Harry Potter films, you know, or you could like say even Jurassic Park or something like that, like has aspects of like adventure and fun that you
even
can like
films
get
made
about
in the previous decade, in the 2010s, have that awe-inspiring shit.
Yeah, totally. So that never goes away. It's just like I feel like it's nice to watch films like this because for myself watching this, I don't go, oh, it's because it's in the 80s that I have that sense of wonder. It's that I go, no, like as a kid, it just that ignites that in me, if that makes sense.
Oh, well.
Well done to you too, because that was the Goonies.
That was the Goonies, Brenton.
Guys, thanks for sticking with us.
Well
that was
done.
a long review.
I didn't know it was going to go this long, but we apparently have a lot to say about this movie.
We did. Our thoughts on this film, that section on the podcast today went for a long while. So, like I said, thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah.
And as always, thank you for interacting with us, especially on
Let's
the
know what you think.
Instagram, on the Twitter. Tell us your thoughts on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, in the comments. Send us an email. Do what you want.
Who's your favorite child in this movie? Who do you wish perished?
What really helps us out is if you give us a like, a comment, a subscribe, and even a little review on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah,
it really
that'd be
helps us
wonderful.
out. So if you guys could do that, that would be absolutely amazing because you guys are the best listeners in the world.
Oh.
And on that note, Nathan, I need to go make a list. Specifically, a list on Lego.
Well, while you do that, Brenton, I'm gonna open up my fridge and get an ice cream. Wait a minute. There's a body in my fridge, Brenton, and a fat child. How did that get in there?
I forgot to say that was the most, that was the thing that, screw the skeletons. That's the scariest thing as a kid. If there was a guy with a bullet hole in his forehead. Oh, Nathan, it's falling on me. It's falling on me.
Oh, no! Trauma!